Last week, T-Pott on Jeff Wilson's show basically said that vintage cards are going to be worthless. And then Jeff Wilson had to panic because his whole audience turned on him. And so he needed to explain. And apparently, T-Pott then has 4 levels. So there's safe cards, then there's safe cards, then there's safe cards, and then there's worthless cards. I have no idea what he's talking about. I think they live in a bubble. They're in Atlanta. They don't really have any communication with the outside world. And their business is starting to go downhill. And I think if Jeff Wilson was a smart businessman, he'd start worrying about what T-Pott's actually talking about, because that means that his business is done in about 5 years. Like, that's it. He has a 5-year window. He better make as much money as he possibly can, because in 5 years from now, he's not going to have a business. It's going to fail. And if he doesn't see that, then that's his ice cream shop all over again. If you don't know that, go check out Jeff Wilson. But this is what T-Pott was kind of talking about. And so I'm going to show you some vintage cards here. These are just managers. All right. So this is going back to the 60s. Okay, so we got 1, we got 2, we got 3, okay, 4, and I'll show you a 5th one. Again, these are all managers. Okay, now what T-Pott was saying was that over time these cards will not be worth anything. Now I want to be very clear. Worthless is relative. In Jeff Wilson's world, worthless is anything under $20. That's just worthless. He doesn't have value for it. He doesn't care about it. He's not a hobbyist. He's not a collector. He's a grifter. And that's basically, so his collection, which is, again, in his mind, worth $4 million, because he just put out a video, a $4 million collection. It's in his mind. That's not what it's actually worth. Unfortunately, it's worth about half that. So he doesn't know math very well. Not anything against the people that went to University of Florida, but he's maybe the dumbest person that's ever graduated from the University of Florida. Just saying. Like, I'm not saying anything else about anybody else who was a Gator, but he's a dumb Gator. And anyone that went to U of F should know that he's an idiot. And I could prove it. It is my opinion, but I could prove it, because he's not very good at math. Again, he doesn't decide what the value of cards are at his own shop, because he doesn't understand cards. But I wanted to kind of bring this up because they, again, T-Pott, and I like examples because it's easier to do. So these are 2 1940 play ball cards, okay? And the reason that I bring that up is because these are commons in the 40 play ball set. So this is Cliff Melton, okay? And this is Slick Kaufman. Do you even know who they are? Is anybody alive who's ever seen these guys play? And the answer is no. No one's around. No one knows who these guys are. These are commons. And yet these cards are worth, in ungraded fashion, so not even graded. If they're graded, they're worth around $100, $150 each, depending on the grade. If you get a higher grade, they're going to be worth more. But ungraded, they're worth around $35 to $50. That's the common. Now, here's the issue that Jeff Wilson doesn't want to address. The cards that are going to be actually worthless are the modern cards, because there weren't that many printed of these. And I can even do that in, the 50s and the 60s. So here is, and this is one of the players that he brought up. So this is the Pee Wee Reese 1953. Now, they're saying that Pee Wee Reese has some jeopardy of not being worth anything. Well, this card is worth about, like $60. Again, ungraded. If you get it graded, it'll be worth more. But, that's my point, is that that's not worthless. It's not worth a lot. I mean, and I keep saying that on this channel. Your cards are not worth as much as you think. Your cards are not worth as much as you think. Again, Jeff Wilson has an inflated value on his cards. He thinks his cards are worth $4 million. They're not. They're not worth $4 million. I don't even know what planet he's living on. They're not worth $4 million because people aren't going to pay. Like your card's only worth close to what someone will pay for it. That's actually more accurate. It's not the cards are worth what someone will pay for it. No. The cards are worth closer to what someone will pay for it. So if your card is worth $2,000, somebody will pay $1,800 for it. If there's high demand, then someone might actually pay to what it's actually worth, or they might even pay more than what it's worth, which then over time might actually drag the prices up. That's why the 52 mantle is worth what it's worth now, because there's such high demand for that card. But how many cards have that kind of demand? I think the Paul Skeens 1 of 1, the MLB debut patch, so that card sold for over $1 million. That card is in jeopardy of going down. Now, how far? I think it could come down 50 to 60%. The reason being is, what if Paul Skeens doesn't make the Hall of Fame? I mean, there you go. Like, we have another Don Mattingly situation on our hands. If he doesn't make the Hall of Fame, then why would anyone want the MLB debut patch of Paul Skeens? Just because it was a fad? So you've got a Jose Canseco situation. He was a 40-40 man. Okay? So stole 40 bases, hit 40 home runs, didn't make the Hall of Fame, and got himself embroiled in a controversy with steroids. But Jose Canseco is a cultural icon of a period, of a time period. So the 80s, the Bash brothers, Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco. So Jose Canseco's cards are worth more than just a common, even though he's sort of a common. And that's my point. So here's the 60, I think it's 61, Roger Maris All-Star card, okay? Again, not a big-time card, but it's worth more than a couple bucks. You got the 1960 Sandy Koufax. Again, not worth a couple bucks, worth more than that. And obviously, you got the Pee Wee Reese. So my point being is that your vintage cards aren't going to be worthless, like zero. That's not going to happen. Even your modern cards aren't going to be worth zero, but they're just not going to be worth a lot of money. And I think this is probably the issue with the modern hobby, is that there's no way to sell low end anymore. Like, we've lost that because of the digital piece of it. So if you try to buy cards low end on eBay, you're overpaying for your cards. Like, you're overpaying for all of them because people are selling one card at a time and the cards aren't even worth $1. And then you pay shipping and tax on top of it. You're paying 4 to 5 times the value of the card. And I think that dealers need to adjust to the new hobby. And that's a problem. People don't like to adjust. People don't like to change. And so that's where we're at. I personally think that dealers need to be making lots. And I think that eBay has a problem because it's not easy to search for lots. But you need to put a bunch of cards together. So this whole lot would be $2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So this whole lot would be a $2 lot, because that's what they're worth, $2 in total. And so you might pay for it because you'd be like, okay, I need all of those cards. And that's, I think, the thing. The reason that set building, like, I'm not a set builder. I built sets, like I built one set. I built the 55 top set, but I did it with my dad. I have no interest in building sets. And according to Jeff Wilson, kids have no interest in building sets. I'm not surprised. Why would you? What's the point of building a set when Topps already sells you the complete set? So don't blame the collector, blame the manufacturer. They provide the complete set, so why would you bother putting a set together? So in vintage, there are no complete sets already together, except unless you want to buy a complete set. The problem is that the price of the complete set is too far out of range for most people. They're thousands and thousands of dollars each. I mean, unless you're buying, sets from like the 70s or the 80s. And that's the point. So are your vintage cards going to be worthless? The answer is no. Are they going to be worth a lot of money? And the answer is no again. Like they're just not going to be worth a lot. Not even $1. But that's going to happen quicker with modern cards. Like any common from modern card is going to be worth a penny. That's it. Because there's so many of them. There's millions and millions of modern cards. Whereas with vintage, again, with these, there aren't a million of these out there. And these are commons. So they're worth $30 to $50 each. Now, again, in terms of inflation, I mean, this is real appreciation if you think about it, because these cards cost less than a penny to buy, because it was 5 cents to get a pack of cards back then. So these were less than a penny, and now they're worth like $30 to $50. Well, that's real appreciation if you look at percentages. The difference between a modern card where you're paying $1 in a pack, because the packs, like if you buy a blaster, it's $25 for a blaster box. Well, $25 is a lot of money for crap, and you're buying it. That's the problem, is that the margins on the front end, again, if boxes didn't cost that much, the hobby wouldn't be in this situation. There's just no secondary market anymore. It's just you're losing money every single time you buy a box. And so the secondary market's trying to recoup those losses, and there's just not enough demand because the prices are outpacing the market. And that's why the values aren't there. Again, supply and demand. There's just not that much demand for all of these cards. And that's why, again, relatively, the prices are coming down. It's not that the hobby is crashing. It's just that the hobby was still in a balloon. We're still there. We're in a bubble. We're in like a secondary bubble now. Again, don't get overhyped. This thing is going to ride itself out. And, it's just not going to be there, unfortunately. But, yeah, there are cards that are going to be fine. I think a Pee Wee Reese 1953, I think a Sandy Koufax 1960, and I even think a Roger Maris from the All-Star set. It's going to be fine because, again, these are not your common players. These are your stars. And stars are always going to be okay. Again, that's just the way it is. I want to thank everybody for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow because I'm getting into a routine here. Anyway. Have a great day.